Hello boys and girls and everyone else. Welcome again to another science video lesson, and for today's video lesson, we will going to talk about a topic that has something to do with the Mad Titan Thanos said in the Avengers Endgame. He said that perfectly balanced as all things should be. So how does this quote related to our topic today? Well, our topic today has something to do with the endocrine system or the hormonal system. So come and join me in today's science video lesson as we discover what are the organs and the function of these organs found in the hormonal system or the endocrine system that we have. So come join me today as we discuss that one in this video lesson. Alright, so here we are in our lesson interface. So for today, we will going to talk about in this video lesson the quote, the infamous quote by the Mad Titan himself, Thanos. So in the Avengers Endgame, he said that perfectly balanced as all things should be. Alright, so what does this mean? Okay, so he snaps his finger and wipe out half of all living creatures in the universe. Okay, so it is not like that. Okay, so what is the importance of being or achieving balance? Okay, in not only in the ecosystem but inside our body, which is very important. Okay, achieving balance inside our body is very important. Why? It's because in order for our organs to do its function perfectly, all nutrients, all minerals, and everything inside our body should be perfectly checked in balance. Okay, there should be no deficiency and there should be no excess. So what will happen if there is such thing as deficiency and excess in the system? So there will be an imbalance. So if you have something that is imbalanced on your body, it might cause a disease or your organs will not function the way it is. So, speaking of balance, who controls this balance of minerals and other stuffs in our body? It's none other than the topic for today, the hormonal system or the body regulators. Okay, so what are these body regulators and how does this organ system become important in achieving this or checking our body's internal balance? Okay, so what are the things that we can expect right here? Alright, so since this is called a hormonal system, the heart and soul of this organ system is or are the hormones. Okay, so this is the heart and soul of this organ system. Okay, so the organs under the hormonal system secretes this chemical substances called hormones. And these substances are necessary for reproduction, development, growth, and other activities of our body. Okay, so these are hormones, these are chemical substances, and these substances somehow trigger certain cells, more than one cells to be particular, and these cells are called target cells. Okay, so these are called target cells, and the hormones are very, very important, okay, in maintaining the balance of everything inside our body. So again, hormones are the heart and soul of the hormonal system. Okay, the organs under this organ system secretes these chemical substances. Okay, and what are the functions of hormones? All right, so what are the functions of hormones as per stated? Okay, so we have here the reproduction. Okay, there are some hormones that controls the reproduction, like production of sperm and egg cell. Okay, they are very necessary in those activities. Next one is metabolism and energy balance. So the breaking down of food into its minor or major components, the energy inside the food is taken care by the hormones. All right, next one is the growth and development. As you all know, our body will not be able to change if there are no hormones. Okay? And the next one is body defenses. The immune system, Alright, so the immune system of our body is heavily dependent on some hormones. Okay, next is the general homeostasis. So this is the balance. Alright, so this is the balance of water, nutrient, and electrolyte. So they are the internal clock. Okay, so the hormones are considered to be the internal clock or internal checker in our body in order to maintain the balance. There should not be any deficiency or excess in the system so that our body will function perfectly. Alright, next one is it interacts with other organ system. That is one of the main function of your hormones. It interacts with the other organ system. So, nevertheless, these are all the function of the hormones found in this organ system. Alright, so where are hormones produced, if you may ask? Okay, the hormones are produced in what they call ductless gland. Alright, so the organs belong to the hormonal system are said to be ductless glands. So from the word itself, duct means pathway. So less means none. Okay, means that the glands or the organs in this organ system doesn't have its own dedicated pathway. Okay, so if you may ask, what will happen? Alright, so what will happen? How will the organs deliver the hormones that they secrete all throughout the body, all throughout the different parts of the body? So, don't worry. Alright, so there's another organ system that readily available in order for these hormones to travel all throughout the body, and that is the circulatory system. Okay, and the hormones or the ductless gland that we have right here uses the bloodstream in order to deliver the hormones to its targeted cell. Okay, so this bloodstream, we all know that blood and blood vessels are part of your circulatory system. And this ductless gland is also known as the endocrine glands. Alright, so endocrine, endo means inside. Alright, so that is the endocrine gland. So these organs that we have right here, the ductless gland, as we all called it, they are found inside our body, and it maintains a lot of things, okay, inside it. Okay. Alright, so there are two classes of hormones that we have right here. The first one is the amino acid hormone, and the second one is the lipid-soluble hormone. Alright, so not all hormones are created equally. Alright, not all of them are created equally. They are created differently depending on how they function. The first one is the amino acid or water-soluble. So as you read it, so we have here water-soluble. It means it can readily dissolve in water. Okay, so in the blood system, alright, so in the blood system, these amino acid hormones are readily dissolved so that it can be sent. Okay, it can be sent all throughout the body in much faster process. Okay, so the second one is the lipid soluble. So therefore, the lipid soluble hormones are not ready, or they cannot be dissolved in water. So remember the golden rule of solubility: like dissolves like. Okay, the only thing that can dissolve a lipid soluble hormone is another lipid. Okay, so later I will show you a diagram on how these two hormones enters inside the cell. Alright, so these are the steroid-based hormone. So under the amino acid, there is what they call the peptide base. So these are the chains. Okay, these are chains of amino acid that are interconnected via peptide bonds. Okay, so most of the time, these hormones end up with INE. Alright, so it ends up with INE. Example is adrenaline. Alright, so the other one is thyroxine. Okay, so melatonin, something like that. Okay, so those are water-soluble hormones. Okay, so let's discover what is the difference between, or what are the difference, or what is the difference between these two hormones, or these two classes of hormones that we have right here. Alright, so we have right here the steroid hormone. So as you can see here, okay, as you can see here, the steroid hormone doesn't have any problem entering the cell because the lipid okay, the lipid structure of the cell membrane can dissolve this lipid-soluble hormone or the steroid hormone. Alright, so as I've said earlier, like dissolves like. So the steroid hormone will easily enter the cell via this cell membrane that we have right here, and it will be entertained by the hormone receptor complex inside the cell. So if you take a closer look, that number 2 right there, that is the hormone receptor complex. So that's the steroid hormone. Okay. How about the amino acid hormone? So the amino acid hormone is somehow entertained immediately before entering the cell by the hormone receptor located on the cell membrane. So why is it like that? Because the cell membrane is made up of lipid heads, the yellow circles that you see there on the cell membrane. The yellow circles on the cell membrane, so those are made up of lipids. So as we all know, lipids cannot be dissolved in water. Okay, so it cannot dissolve water, or water cannot dissolve lipids, vice versa. So there must be a hormone receptor that will receive this amino acid before it enters the cell. Okay, so you notice the difference between the two? Okay, so if you notice the difference, the hormone receptor of the steroid hormone is located inside the cell, whereas the hormone receptor of the amino acid based hormones are located outside the cell or in the cell membrane. Okay, that's how they are, that's the difference between the two of them. Okay, so after entering the cell, it will do, alright, it will do all its design function. Okay, so what will it do to the cell and other stuffs? Okay, so once it enters, and it is being unpacked by the hormone receptors that you have right here. Alright, so these are the differences between, and these are the two classes of hormones, the amino acid and the steroid hormone. And these are the differences between the two of them. Okay. Alright, so let's go now to the next phase of our lesson, the glands and their hormonal secretion. So what are the glands included in this endocrine system that we have right here? Alright, so if you take a closer look at this diagram that we have, okay, so as you can see, there are a lot of them. Okay, so there are a lot of them. And there are some organs in the endocrine system or the hormonal system. There are some organs that belongs to other organ system. Example is the ovary and testes. So the ovary and testes that we have right here belongs also to the reproductive system. Okay, not only that, we have here the pancreas that belongs to the digestive system, the liver, all right, it secretes bile, all right, it belongs to the digestive system, all right. So many of the organ system here are not only belong to the endocrine system, but it also belongs to the other organ system. And as you notice, all right, so as you notice on this diagram that we have right here, they are not connected via a specialized pathway, right? So as you can see, there are no connections in between organs. Okay, like the one in the nervous system, we have nerves. Okay, in the digestive system, we have series of tubes and other stuffs. Okay, so they are not connected by a series of specialized pathway, because this specialized pathway that we are talking about belongs to the circulatory system. Alright, so they use, okay, these organs that we have right here uses the blood vessel and the bloodstream in order to make the hormones go to its specific target cells. Okay, so that's the these are the organs in the endocrine system. Okay, to start with, let's have the first organ. Although it is not although it is belong to the nervous system, hypothalamus also plays part in our endocrine system, because the hypothalamus is the one that is calling the shots. Okay, it is the one that gives instruction to the endocrine system. Alright, so what is the function of the hypothalamus? It regulates the secretion of the pituitary gland. Alright, It regulates the secretion of the pituitary gland. So it controls one endocrine gland, which is the pituitary gland. So what does it secretes? It secretes two things. One is the releasing hormone and the second one is inhibiting hormone. These two hormones are opposite in function. Why? It's because in order to maintain balance, there must be a hormone that is opposite in function. Okay? That will counteract the other hormone. Okay? That will have a antagonistic effect. Okay? So, antagonistic effect. So, for example, if something that is released, it must not be continued to be released. It must be inhibited immediately. Alright. If there is something inhibited, there must be something that will be released in the process in order not to have a certain event of deficiency of certain hormones inside the body. So these two, the releasing hormones and then the inhibiting hormones that we have right here, must work together. Alright, must work together in the right timing in order for it to function. Okay, so that is the function of the hypothalamus. So if you will going to ask, where is it located? So it is located somewhere here inside the brain. Okay, so it is located inside the brain. So that is the hypothalamus over there. Okay, and the hypothalamus is very important in sorting out the information. Okay, it is very important in sorting out the information coming from the sensory organs. Okay, coming from the sensory organs, just like a router or an internet router. Okay, in your home. Okay, the router in your home sorts the information coming from the internet and delivers it to your devices that is connected to that router. Same thing with the hypothalamus that we have right here. It sorts the information and delivers that information to the rightful part of the brain that we have right here. So, okay, that is the hypothalamus, and it controls the secretion of the next organ, which is called the pituitary gland. Alright, so the pituitary gland that we have right here. So this is the only endocrine system that is controlled by the hypothalamus. Okay, so since our endocrine gland that is controlled by the hypothalamus. So since this is the one that is controlled by the hypothalamus, it controls this organ that we have right here, the pituitary gland, controls the other endocrine organs. It is the one that controls the other endocrine organ. This is the master endocrine gland. Alright? So this is the master endocrine gland. So in short, the other endocrine glands will not function if they don't receive. Alright? If they don't receive anything coming from this organ, the pituitary gland. Okay? So the pituitary gland is located, alright, posterior to the hypothalamus. Okay, as you can see, it is very near, alright, to the hypothalamus. So immediate response is very important here. Okay, once the hypothalamus picks something that is abnormal inside our body, okay, the hypothalamus will create a immediate action and deliver it directly to the pituitary gland without any lag, okay, in the process. Okay, so that is why the pituitary gland, as you can see here, is near the hypothalamus. Okay, now if you take a look at the MRI, the pituitary gland is located on that red circle that you have right there. So that is the pituitary gland located. Now, the pituitary gland is very important. Although it can be removed, but there will be a drastic effect in our body if there is a viral infection or disease that the pituitary gland caught. Okay, so this is very important. So what is the size of this pituitary gland? It is just 1 centimeter. Alright, so it is just 1 centimeter. So I have a ruler here. Okay, so I have a ruler here. So the 1 centimeter of this ruler, okay, so the 1 centimeter of this ruler that I have right here is somewhere here. So it's very small. Alright, so it is very small. And it has two parts. So we have here the anterior and then the posterior part of the pituitary gland. Alright. And now, if you're going to draw the pituitary gland, okay, it looks like this. Okay. So again, the hypothalamus is on top. Alright, anterior to the pituitary gland. So we have here the anterior pituitary gland and the posterior pituitary gland. Okay. Alright, so if you are expecting that these two portions of the pituitary gland functions differently, if you are expecting that they functions differently, well, you are correct. Because these two parts of the pituitary gland secretes different hormone compared to the other part. Okay, so what are those hormones? So before we go to the hormones, let's talk about its function. So I've said earlier that the function of the pituitary gland is it controls the other endocrine glands. Without the instruction from the pituitary gland, the other endocrine glands will not do its function. So always take note its function. It is very important. And these are the hormones that are secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. So the first one is the growth hormone. Alright? So the growth hormone is very important in the changes in our body. Now, if there's something wrong with the growth hormone inside our body, this event will likely to happen. So the occurrence of or a very tall person or a very short person that we have right here, the occurrence of these illnesses that we have right here is attributed to the abnormal secretion. Alright, so abnormal secretion of the growth hormone. If there is too much, gigantism will happen. If there's a deficiency in the amount of the growth hormone, dwarfism will likely to occur. Alright, so these are the two diseases. Alright, so these are most of these diseases that we have right here are hereditary. Alright, most of these diseases that we have right are hereditary. Very rare is caused by mutation. Alright, so going back, so we have the growth hormone. That's the one. Okay, so the next one is the thyroid stimulating hormone or the TSH. Okay, that we have right there. Okay, so we have the thyroid stimulating hormone activating the thyroid gland. Okay, the next one is the adrenocorticotropic hormone, or also known as the ACTH. So from the word itself, adreno means it activates the adrenal gland. Alright, so it activates the adrenal gland. So the next one is the prolactin. Prolactin is very important in the development of the breast in female, and also the activation of milk, stimulating organs in the breast, in the mammary glands. So prolactin is very important in the production of milk. Okay, next one, we have here endorphins, our natural painkiller. Alright, so this is the natural painkiller. If you are under stress, if your body is under stress, or if you are experiencing stress, and if your body is experiencing inflammation, there is an endorphin. Alright, there are endorphins that are found in the pituitary gland that helps us kill this pain, alright, inside our body. Okay, so these are natural painkillers. And the two, we have the luteinizing hormone and then the follicle stimulating hormone. So these are the two hormones found in the ovary and testes that aids in reproduction. Okay, so these are the two things. Okay, so these are the two things that are found in the reproductive system. Okay, so more so, these are all the hormones that are found in the anterior pituitary gland. These are all the hormones secreted in the anterior pituitary. Otherwise, we have here the hormones which is secreted by the posterior pituitary gland. There are three of them. Okay, so we have here the melanocyte stimulating hormone. Okay, this melanocyte stimulating hormone targets the skin. Alright, targets the melanin production of the skin. Okay, in order for us to be protected. So this is our natural sunscreen. Okay, so if the hypothalamus detects too much ultraviolet light coming out from the skin encounters the melanocyte stimulating hormone is being triggered to make the skin secrete this melanin in order for us to be protected with the ultraviolet light from the sun. The next one is the antidiuretic hormone. So antidiuretic hormone means this hormone prevents too much water loss in our body in the event of dehydration, something like that. Alright, so in the event of dehydration, antidiuretic hormone is very important. It retains the water. Alright, now if you drink some diuretic drugs like coffee, tea, alright, so those beverages contains diuretic drugs, and this has an opposite effect with the antidiuretic hormone that you have right here. Okay, instead of retaining the water, they remove the water from the body. Okay, so these are the effect of these diuretic drugs like tea and coffee. All right. Next one we have here the oxytocin or the love hormone. All right, so the oxytocin is important in okay, so there are some research that suggests that oxytocin is the hormone responsible for making the humans sociable being. Okay? So oxytocin is very important, and also oxytocin is very important in childbirth. Alright, in childbirth, during the labor process. Alright, so oxytocin. So these are the three hormones secreted from the posterior pituitary gland. Okay. Let's start with the hormones that are the glands, or rather the glands that is controlled by that is controlled by the pituitary gland. Okay, so let's start with, we have the pineal gland. So the pineal gland is very important in our sleep modulation. Okay, so if you are experiencing late night sleep, alright, or you can't sleep at all, you have a problem with this organ that we have right here. Okay, so where is the pineal gland located? So the pineal gland located in the innermost part of the brain. It is very small. Okay, in some animals like the reptiles have a very prominent pineal gland. They use the pineal gland as a light-sensitive organ. Okay, as we all know that these reptiles are cold-blooded animals. They cannot regulate their own temperature. So that is why pineal gland is very important in their in the process. Okay, so it is associated with being their third eye. Okay, in some cases these are called third eye. Okay, so now, what is the function of the pineal gland? So the pineal gland has a function, or it secretes the water-soluble melatonin. And melatonin is secreted, and these are secreted mostly during nighttime. Okay? There's a high secretion or high level of secretion of melatonin during nighttime. Okay? You will just only secrete melatonin if if the place is dark. Okay, and if the place is dark, it will trigger sleep. Okay, it will trigger sleep. It will make your body rest. Okay, for temporary period of time. And once your eye detects light that is coming from your environment, okay, immediately the melatonin level will decrease and you will eventually wake up. Okay, that's how it works. Okay, so any problem with melatonin secretion will lead to insomnia or something related to sleep problems. Okay, so melatonin controls this modulation of sleep pattern. So this is very important. Now, if you have problems with melatonin, there are some prescription drugs that is available in the market that will help you sleep. Okay, so they contains melatonin supplement, okay, that will help you sleep at night. Okay, so that is melatonin. Alright, so the next group of organs that we have right here are the thyroid and the parathyroid gland. Okay, so these are the glands associated with growth and development. Okay, so if you're going to take a look at this picture, okay, so the thyroid gland is the one located at the neck region. So this one. And the violet that you see on this picture are the parathyroid gland, which are attached to your thyroid gland. Okay, which are attached to your thyroid gland. And in other, if you take a closer look at this view, so the parathyroid gland is located at the back. Okay, at the back part of your thyroid gland. Okay, so the largest part that you see here is the thyroid gland, and the yellow ones are the parathyroid gland. Now, in some animals, like the one that we have right here, we have here the thyroid gland. Okay, so in this animal, the cat, okay, so this is the thyroid gland. Alright, so what is the function of your thyroid gland? Now, it controls the metabolism and physical development. And in some cases, it controls also the heartbeat, okay, the blood pressures in some cases, okay, and it controls also the absorption of calcium in our body and the level, okay, the level of calcium, maintaining the level of right amount of calcium in our body. So these are the notable function of the thyroid gland. So it secretes the following hormones. First one is the thyroxine. Okay, so this is attributed to metabolism, growth and development. The triiodothyronine that we have right here, or the T3, and also the calcitonin. The calcitonin is responsible for maintaining the blood calcium in the blood, the level of calcium in the blood. So nothing will be excess, and also nothing will be deficient. It will instruct, all right, it will instruct the kidneys not to excrete too much calcium, and it will instruct the intestines to absorb calcium in the event that the calcium becomes deficient in the system. Okay, more so, if you go to the third bullet that we have right here, it secretes, or the parathyroid gland secretes water-soluble parathyroid hormone. Okay, so as you can see, it is very easy to understand. Okay, or easy to remember, the parathyroid hormone. Now, what is the function of the parathyroid hormone? It is the same thing. It is for growth and development, and especially, it also works the same way with calcitonin. Okay, it maintains the level of how much calcium will be absorbed, okay, in our body. So these are the hormones that are found, that are secreted by the thyroid gland and then the parathyroid gland. All right. Now, what will happen, if you may ask, what will happen if there is too much, all right, secretion? All right, if there's too much secretion or too little secretion of your thyroid hormones, all right, or the parathyroid hormones, it will lead to bulging of eyes, which is called as Graves, Grave. All right, Graves disease. All right, so it is associated to that. So this is in the event of hyperthyroidism. Okay, hyperthyroidism. Now, most notable or most familiar effect of too little and also too much secretion of thyroid hormones is goiter. All right, goiter. Now, in order to combat these effects, okay, of too much or too little and too much secretion, all right, so the thyroid gland is using a very important element, which is called iodine. All right, so iodine supplement from food that we eat, will help prevent, all right, the occurrences of these illnesses that we have right here. Okay, so the goiter, especially the goiter. Okay, so don't forget to eat food with high amount of iodine, like seafoods, all right, constant supplement of iodized salt, something like that. So it will help you a lot, okay, in preventing such diseases like the one that we have right here, the goiter. Okay, so that was the thyroid and the parathyroid gland. Okay, the next organ is the thymus gland. Alright, so the thymus gland is the gland that is designed to boost our immune system. Okay? So, where is it located? It is located in between the two, okay, the two parts of our lungs. Okay, so in between. And it functions as to stimulate the T cell development. So what is the T cell? T cells are antibodies. Okay, T cells are considered to be antibodies, and it helps us fight foreign objects that enters our body, like viruses, and we have bacteria. Okay, so T cells are very, very important. Okay, so what helps the development of the T cells? The thymosin. This is the hormone secreted by the thymus gland, and it helps the development of these T cells, all right, found in our immune system. So to give you something important about the T cell. T cells are, all right, especially now that we are experiencing the COVID pandemic. Okay, T cells are very important in combat with this virus that we experience right now, the COVID-19. All right, so there are some cases when the COVID-19 enters our body, T cells do not recognize them. Okay, at first. Okay, now that's the reason why there are some people who feel like mild symptoms of the COVID-19 virus, okay, entering inside their bodies, like minor fever, okay, cold, cough, something like that. Okay, and okay, now when the person heal, all right, when the person heal on that particular disease, the COVID-19, the T cell will remember that particular foreign material and creates an antibody just for that foreign material that enters your body, just for that COVID-19 virus. All right. So the vaccine that is readily available as of now will help also in the development of the T cell. Okay, in the combat against COVID-19. Okay, so that was the thymus gland. All right, so the next gland that we have right here is the adrenal gland. Okay. Adrenal gland are said to be the fight or flight gland, or the emergency gland. Okay, so if you happen to notice some situations like okay, fire, okay, you will notice that there are some people who are not well, or do not have a well-built body, will be able to carry out heavy objects. Okay, how is that possible? How is that possible? Because we have an organ dedicated for that certain situation, especially during stressful times. Okay, that is the adrenal gland. Okay, so that is the emergency gland. So where is this gland located? So this gland is located on top of each kidneys in our body. Okay, so here we are. So these are the adrenal glands. Okay, and if you're going to look at it at the actual, okay, in actual, so the adrenal glands are somehow looks like this, okay, on top of the kidney. Okay, now if you're going to dissect the adrenal glands, there are two regions. Okay, there are two regions. So we have here the cortex. Okay, so we have here the cortex, and we have here the medulla, which is the innermost region. Okay, so if you are thinking, if this one is, if these two regions secretes two different hormones, yes, they do secrete two different hormones. Okay, so meaning to say, not all regions of the adrenal gland are created equally. Okay, so secretes the same hormone. Okay, so what are those hormones that are secreted by each of the region that we have right there? Okay, so the first one is the epinephrine, or also known as the adrenaline, and the norepinephrine or noradrenaline. All right, so these are water-soluble hormones. Okay, these are very important in certain metabolic activities, especially during emergency. Okay, during those stressful times. Okay, So, in a fight or flight situation, something like that. Okay, so what it does is it increases blood glucose, it increases metabolic activities, and constrict the certain blood vessels. Now, if you happen to notice, if a person is angry, okay, if you notice if the person is angry, you will notice his face. Alright, so overall face of a person who is angry, it is red. The reason why it is red, it's because there are some blood vessels that are that are near the skin. Okay, near the skin surface. Okay, and most of them are constricted. Okay, most of them are constricted. That is why it increases the blood flow. Okay, so that is the reason why when we are angry, the blood flow, okay, the blood flow inside our body increases. Okay, so while it increases also the delivery of blood glucose to all parts of the body, especially muscles. Especially in muscles, it is very important, this blood glucose. Okay, so if you're going to take a look at the adrenal cortex, it will be different because it has two different hormones compared to the adrenal medulla. So we have here the glucocorticoids, which increases blood glucose, okay, in some cases, and it stops inflammation. So this is also considered to be natural painkiller of our body. Also, we have a lipid-soluble hormones called mineralocorticoids, and it promotes the salt and water balance in the kidneys. So, it targets the kidneys. Okay. Now, as we all know, salt is very important. Although, in large amounts or in an excess amount, salt is very harmful in our body. Okay, that is very harmful in our body. It will cause kidney disease. Okay, too low salt in our body will render our nervous system, it will not function properly. Okay, should there be a deficiency of salt in our body? So, mineralocorticoids are very important in maintaining this salt level. Okay, so there's not too much and there's not too low salt in our body. And also water. Okay, as we all know, if you lose too much water in your body, there will be what they call a dehydration that will happen in the process. Okay, there will be dehydration. So, mineralocorticoids again is utilized to promote this balance between these minerals and water inside the body. Alright, so these are the notable effects of adrenaline. Okay, should you ask? Okay, it increases blood glucose, it increases metabolic rate. So that is why a person who has an adrenaline rush increases its metabolic rate. So they can run faster than usual, or they can carry objects which is much heavier. Okay, much heavier than they can carry in their normal body situation, something like that. Also, it increases the heartbeat. Okay, why it increases the heartbeat? It's because in order to deliver the blood glucose all throughout the body part, all throughout our body, the heartbeat should increase. Okay, the heart should increase its rate in order to make the blood travel faster. Okay, it constrict the arterioles or the arteries in the skin. So that is why most people who are angry having a reddish face, causes the pupils to dilate to enhance vision, especially when dark. Okay, and it contracts the hair muscles. So these are the notable effects of adrenaline in our body. Okay, so the next organ that we have right here has something to do with food. Okay, these are called pancreas. These are specialized organ that controls the sugar level of our body. Okay, so the pancreas looks like this. Okay, so it looks like a piece of meat. Okay, pork or a meat or a beef. Okay, so it is located. It is located behind the intestine. All right, so behind the liver and the intestine. So, okay. Now, what is the function of this small organ right here? So, the function of this is to control the amount of glucose in our body. Okay, so that's the function. That's the this is one of the most important function of this organ. Okay, it secretes insulin and glucagon. This insulin and glucagon are having antagonistic effect. over each other. Okay, if the other one increases, the other one will try to decrease it. If the other one is in the event that the sugar decreases, the other one will try to increase it as much as possible. Okay, so this insulin are secreted in the following areas of the pancreas. We called it the beta cells, and the glucagon is secreted in the alpha cells of the islets of Langerhans. These are the things that is found, or that are found in the pancreas. So where is this islets of Langerhans located? Okay, so if you're going to zoom out or zoom in inside our pancreas, the islets of Langerhans looks like this. Alright, so it looks like this. And the beta cells on that islets of Langerhans secretes this insulin. Okay, so what is not visualized here is the alpha cells. Okay, so it will secrete the insulin through the blood vessels, and the insulin will will interact with the muscles. Okay, it will interact with the muscle fiber, and it will allow the muscle to absorb the glucose in the bloodstream. Okay, so in short, without insulin, the muscle fiber that you have right here will not be able to absorb the glucose in the bloodstream, and therefore these glucose molecules that we have right here will accumulate in the bloodstream, and it will cause a disease called diabetes. Okay, so too much glucose in our body is harmful, and we called it diabetes. Okay, so there are so many types of diabetes, okay, right there. So we have type 1, type 2, type 3 diabetes, something like that, and it is all related to the amount of glucose present in our bloodstream. Okay, so insulin is very, very important in that in prevention of this diabetes. Okay, so let's take a look at the normal effects of the insulin. So the normal effects of the insulin in terms of normal secretion, it increases the uptake rate of the glucose by the cells, especially by the muscle fibers, in which the glucose are very, very important. Okay, in those organs. Okay. So, next one, stimulate the liver to convert glucose. Okay. So, it converts glucose into a much useful form. Okay. Instead of converting it into fat, they convert the glucose into a much useful form to get energy from it. Okay. And it increases our body's oxidation of glucose. Okay. Just what I have said earlier, that insulin is very important. Without insulin, alright, so without insulin, there will be no muscle fiber that will absorb the glucose in your bloodstream. So insulin is very important. Okay. Now, what about deficiency of insulin or too little secretion of insulin? So what we have right here is the body will grow weak, and it will cause diabetes. Okay, so people who has diabetes have a body which is weak, and it loses weight over time. And also, since you don't have any more insulin, your body has an inability to absorb the glucose found in your bloodstream. And also, instead of oxidizing the glucose is somehow being stored in the liver in a form of fat. Okay, instead our body is oxidizing the glucose, it oxidizes the fat that are found in the liver to produce energy. Okay, which is in terms of the amount of energy, fat doesn't have a large amount of energy compared to glucose. All right. So now, in order to combat this lack of secretion, there is available in the market the insulin shot. Okay, especially for those people who has a diabetes. So insulin shot is available. It increases the amount of insulin in our body, all right, by injecting insulin, okay, from these shots, and this insulin will be delivered through the different body parts that needs this insulin, especially in the muscles. Okay. All right, next, what about in oversecretion? Alright, what about the oversecretion of insulin? Oversecretion is also very harmful. It can cause death. Okay? So in the case that you have too much or you have overdose of insulin shot, okay? So if you have an overdose of insulin shot, your blood glucose concentration will decrease and it will lead to hypoglycemia. Okay? It will lead to hypoglycemia and eventually it may cause death, all right? If it is not if you don't get attention immediately. All right? So over secretion is also harmful, okay? In our body. Okay, next one, the effects of glucagon in our body. Okay, so these are the notable effects. So if in the case or in the situation that you are hungry, all right, and if you are hungry and you are too busy from your work, okay, from your study, yeah. Okay, so don't worry, your body has a temporary solution on that. It will secrete glucagon in order to increase the blood glucose concentration in your body for a temporary period of time. Alright, so for a temporary period of time. So, what it does is it converts glycogen to glucose and it converts fat in an amino acid into glucose. Okay, and it converts lactic acid into glucose in a temporary period of time. Okay, so, okay, when you are hungry, don't forget to eat immediately. Okay? Don't forget to eat immediately because glucagon doesn't stay in our body permanently in order to combat that situation. Okay? So, that is only a temporary solution of your body just to increase the blood glucose. Okay? Not for you not to experience hypoglycemia. Okay? So, these are the effects of glucagon in our body. Alright, so let's go now to the organs related to reproduction. Okay, so these are the ovaries. Ovaries are said to be the female gonads. Okay, ovaries are also part of the reproductive system. Now, where is it located? It is located on both sides of the fallopian tube. Okay, in the female reproductive system, and these are very essential in production of egg and the hormones of the ovary. Okay, so if you look at it in an actual, it looks like this. Okay, so these are the ovary. Okay, the two spherical thing that you have right there on both sides, left and right. Okay, now what is the function of the ovary? Alright, the ovary is said to be the one that controls the production of egg cell. Now, without the ovary, there will be no egg cell. That's the truth here. And also, it secretes lipid-soluble hormones like estrogen and progesterone, which is very important in the development of the secondary female characteristic. Okay, so what are these secondary female characteristic? Like development of breast, okay, widening of hips, okay, having menstrual period. Okay, so those are some events that associated with the development of the secondary characteristic. Now, these characteristics will not be possible without estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so in childbirth, progesterone is very important. Okay, in maintaining the lining of the uterus. Okay, so that is very, very important. So these are the function of your ovary. And if there is an ovary, there is also a male gonad called testes. Okay, so the testes that we have right here. So the testes is also part of a reproductive system, the male part, and it looks like this. Okay, so this is covered with scrotum that we have right here, and it has so many blood vessels that supports the testes that you have here. Okay, now if you're going to look at it in actual, okay, so the testis is this part, okay, the one that you have right here, the spherical part that you have right here, and both sides of the body contains this testis, okay, the left and right. Okay, now what does it look like when you look at it under the microscope? So this is what it looks like. So the one that you see here are the nucleus of a newly developed sperm cells, okay, that you have over here, and the portal at the middle Okay, this is the portal at the middle where the sperm cell will be ejected after production. Okay, so the white one. Okay, the white portal at the middle is where the sperm cell will go after its production. Okay, now what is the function of the testes? What are the notable function of the testes? The first one is the same way as the ovary. It controls the production of, this time, sperm cell. Okay, this time sperm cell. And the secondary characteristics of males are also controlled by the testes, by secreting the lipid soluble called testosterone or androgens. Okay, so without testosterone, the secondary male characteristics will not be possible. Okay, so what are those secondary male characteristics? So improvement of muscle, deepening of voice, enlargement of the penis, something like that. Okay, so those are some notable secondary characteristics which is associated with the secretion of the testosterone. Okay, so testosterone is very important, okay, in the production of the sperm cell as well. Okay, so these are the function of your testes. Okay, those are the organs. Okay, those are the organs found in the endocrine system and its secretions. Okay, now let's compare the endocrine system with the nervous system. Okay, so if you don't have any idea what is a nervous system all about, just click the link above this video. It will appear there. Alright? Okay, it will be appearing there. Okay, on this side. And just click that link, and if you don't have any idea about the nervous system, just watch my video lesson about the nervous system. Okay, so you will learn about the parts and function of the nervous system. Okay, so these are the notable differences between the two systems that we have right here. Okay, although they look similar, all right, and they if you think they are they function similarly, but there are some differences that you might want to take note of. Okay, so the first one is the nervous system utilizes electrical signals in order to reach out certain organs in our body. Okay, so these are nerve impulse. Okay, so the hormonal system utilizes hormones, as we discussed earlier. That is in a form of chemical substance. Okay, that is in a form of chemical substance. So these are the hormones. Now, nervous system has its own specialized pathway. We called it neurons. That is the heart and soul of the nervous system. Whereas the hormones are being transported using the circulatory system's blood vessels. Okay? Blood and blood vessels. Okay. So without the blood and blood vessels, the hormones will not be able to reach those parts that needs these certain hormones. Okay, nervous system usually have quick responses. Okay? Usually have quick responses. Example of this is the reflex. Okay, the reflex action. These are very, very quick response of the nervous system. And the hormonal system has slow responses. Example of this is the growth and development of our body. Okay? The growth of development of our body doesn't happen overnight. Okay? Doesn't happen overnight. So, it took a long it will took a long time before your body to grow from when you were a baby down to what you are right now. Okay, so it is a very slow response. Now, let's take a look at other stuffs that we have right here. So the other one is the nervous system have very short responses. Okay, short-lived responses. Okay, so for example, there is a mosquito. Okay, there's a mosquito bite you. Alright, there's a mosquito that bite you on your skin. Okay, the response that your nervous system will do, okay, on that mosquito bite is very, very short. You will just feel the pain in a short period of time, then the pain will dissipate. Okay, that's how nervous system works. Whereas the hormonal system can be both short-lived or long-lived. Why? It's because there are some hormones that acts in a short-lived process, and there are also hormones that acts in a long-lived process. Example, short-lived is the adrenaline rush. Okay? Adrenaline rush happens when your body is at stress. Okay? When your body is not at stress, adrenaline rush will stop. Alright. Next one, long-lived response of the hormonal system. Okay, so what is the long-lived response of the hormonal system? Growth and development of your body. Okay. Next one, the nervous system is said to be controlling the voluntary and involuntary movement of your body. So that is why we have the somatic and then the autonomic nervous system. The reason why we have like that, it's because our body has a voluntary and involuntary movement. Like breathing, involuntary. Okay, walking is voluntary movement. Alright, whereas the hormonal system is always involuntary. Why? It's because it is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. It is controlled by the autonomic nervous system. That is why it is always involuntary. Alright, so the last comparison that we have right here is that the nervous system is usually localized. Okay, what do you mean by that localized? Now, going back again to mosquito bite, if a mosquito bite you, alright, if a mosquito bite you, you will just feel, alright, you will just feel that mosquito bite on a certain specific part of your body, okay, on one part of your body only. Your whole body will not experience the pain of that mosquito bite because the nervous system has a localized, okay, localized manner in certain responses. Okay, in certain responses. Whereas the hormonal system can affect more than one target organ. Example, going back to growth and development. Okay, in terms of growth and development, the hormone or the growth hormone targets everything from muscles to bones to brain and everything inside inside your body. So that is why the hormonal system doesn't target only one organ, but also targets more than one organ. Okay, it is not localized the same as your nervous system. All right. So these are the notable similarities and differences between nervous system and the endocrine system. Okay. So now, hey, how does the nervous system and the hormonal system work together? Okay. So in the next part, okay, in the next part that we have right here, we called it the feedback mechanism. Okay, so how does this feedback mechanism works? Okay, now not only the endocrine system is the only responsible for the feedback mechanism, but also the nervous system. So don't forget the nervous system in the process. Okay, so how does this one works? Okay, so for example, okay, so example that we have right here, the body temperature decreases, which is very harmful. Okay? If that continues, you will experience hypothermia and your organs will shut down. Okay? So, what is your body's mechanism? Okay? What is your body's response on that? So, your body's response on that is in a form of shivering. The one that you have right here, shivering. Okay? Now, once you do shivering, okay, once your body do shivering, it will increase, as effect, it will increase now the body temperature. Alright, so it will increase the body temperature, going back again the normal temperature in our body. So it will make go back. Okay, it will make the temperature back to normal again. Okay, so in the event that the temperature of our body increases, in the event that the temperature of our body increases, what will the body do? Okay, the body will activate sweating. Okay, so our body will activate its cooling process called sweating. Okay, so sweating process will decrease the temperature, thus going back or making the normal temperature inside our body back to normal. Okay, so that is the feedback mechanism. Okay, this is one of the example of the feedback mechanism happening in our body. Now, how does the endocrine system works here? Okay. Now, if you take a look at this diagram that we have right here, okay, so the effector, okay, so the effector that we have right here, or the sensor, which is the sense organ, the eyes, the nose, the skin, and other stuffs, or the five sense organ in our body, will send feedback to the control center. Okay, it will send feedback to the control center, the brain itself. So especially, to be exact, that is the hypothalamus. Okay, so that is the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus will direct a function or will direct a instruction to the pituitary gland. Okay, it will stimulate the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland will send something to the other endocrine glands to make certain events, okay, or in order to reverse certain event, okay, by sending feedback, okay, by sending feedback on that particular organ. Okay, it's either it will reduce certain process, or it will also increase. Okay, it will also maintain and increase certain process. Okay, so this is what the feedback mechanism or feedback loop looks like. Okay, so there are two feedback mechanisms that we have right here. So the first one is the negative feedback. Okay, so example that we have right here is the rising blood glucose level. Okay, so when we eat food, the glucose level in our blood will suddenly increase. Okay, so it will be detected by the hypothalamus. And then the hypothalamus will secrete a hormone. Okay, will secrete a hormone that will direct the pituitary gland to instruct none other than the pancreas. Okay, so the pancreas will be able to secrete insulin. Okay, it will be able to secrete insulin, instructing the liver to do its function. All right, to do its function and to break up this sugar found in the blood to make use as energy. Okay, so it will be used by the body, especially by the muscles. And once the glucose level in your blood returns to normal, okay, the hypothalamus will stop secreting hormones that will inhibit, alright, so it will secrete a hormone that will inhibit the secretions of your pancreas. Okay, thus achieving what they call negative feedback loop. So what do you mean by this negative feedback loop? This is a feedback mechanism that reduces, okay, that reduces the effect of the certain process like the one that we have right here. So it reduces the secretion of insulin once the blood sugar level returns to normal. Okay? It reduces the secretion of insulin once the blood level or blood glucose level returns to normal, so that it will not have the pancreas will not achieve over secretion of insulin. Okay? So once it returns back to normal, okay, because of the negative feedback loop, so it will stop the secretion of the insulin. Okay, that is the negative feedback loop. It reduces. Alright, it reduces. Now, what is the opposite of this one? Obviously, the positive feedback. Alright, so instead of reducing, example here is the breastfeeding, the baby suckles at the breast. Okay, and the receptor from the skin detects the suckling, and the hypothalamus will send signal. Okay, the hypothalamus will send signal to the pituitary gland to secrete oxytocin. Alright, so the oxytocin will target the mammary glands, okay, in order for the breast to stimulate the secretion of breast milk. Okay, now the breast milk is being released and being obtained by the baby that we have right here. And as the baby continues to suckle, okay, as the baby continues to suckle at the breast will continue to produce, okay, the breast will continue to produce breast milk. Okay, in that process. So, what makes it a positive feedback? Instead of reducing the production of breast milk, it increases the production and it continues the production of breast milk. That's the positive feedback. Compared to the negative feedback, which reduces the secretion of the insulin once the normal level of glucose is achieved, in this process, the positive feedback, it continues the secretion of the breast milk. Okay, this is very positive feedback mechanism in our body is very rare. Another example of this is the blood clotting. Okay, another example of this is blood clotting. So blood clotting is a positive feedback mechanism. Okay, Also, not only blood clotting, but also childbirth. Okay, childbirth is, or labor during childbirth is also a positive feedback. Okay, so these are the two positive, or these are the two feedback mechanism on our body which uses the endocrine system. The positive and the negative feedback. Alright, now to check if you understand everything that you have watched in this video lesson. Okay, so just write down your answer in a piece of paper. Okay, now if you want, you may pause this video in order for you to analyze the question further and choose your answer appropriately. Okay, you can pause this video, okay, if you want. Okay, let's start with the first question we have right here. Okay, so what organ system is composed of chemical messenger that uses feedback loops of hormones released by internal glands of an organism directly into the circulatory system? Okay, so is it A, the endocrine system, B, the nervous system, C, the digestive system, or D, the reproductive system? Okay. Alright, so the answer is endocrine system. Okay, so that's the endocrine system that we have talked about in this video lesson that we have right here. Alright, so next question. Okay. What hormone is responsible in the development of the female's secondary characteristic? A, insulin, B, adrenaline, C, estrogen, and D, thyroxine. Alright, so the answer to this question is, alright, that was estrogen. Alright, so did you get the right answer to this question? Okay, so let's proceed now to the next question. Number 3. Now, in order to maintain the level of glucose in the blood, what organ releases insulin in order to normalize the level of blood sugar in the body? Okay, is it the pineal gland, the pancreas, ovary, or the testes? Alright, so the answer to this question is, alright, very good. So that is pancreas. Okay, so just comment. Okay, comment on this video if you got the answer correctly. Okay, next question. Okay, now which statement below best describe a negative feedback loop? Okay. It increases an excessive response and keep a variable within the higher range. Letter B, it maintains an excessive response and keep a variable within the normal range. Next, it amplifies an excessive response and keep a variable at the lowest range. Next, it reduces excessive response and a variable within the normal and keep a variable within the normal range. Alright, so the answer to this question is letter D. Alright, it reduces an excessive response and keep a variable within the normal range. That is the negative feedback loop. Okay, so did you got it correctly? Okay, so we'll proceed now to the last question. Question number 5. What organ in the nervous system controls the secretion of the pituitary gland? Okay, what organ in the nervous system controls the secretion of the pituitary gland? A, the cerebrum, B, the brainstem, C, the hypothalamus, or D, the autonomic nervous system. Alright, so the answer to this question is the hypothalamus. Alright, so did you get all 5 questions correctly? Okay, did you get all 5 questions correctly? So if you get all 5 questions correctly, just write your score or put your score there on the comment section below this video. Alright, so to end up this video lesson, okay, what is the whole purpose of the hormonal system that we discussed a while ago. Okay, what is the whole purpose? Or what is the whole function? Okay, although there are many organs with different functions that belongs to this hormonal system or the endocrine system that we have right here, they have only one purpose. Okay, all of those organs have one purpose, and that is to maintain the homeostasis. Okay, that is to maintain the homeostasis that we have right here. So what is homeostasis? This is the internal balance. Okay, the internal balance of the body. Okay, the internal balance. What is this internal balance? It might be minerals, it might be water, it might be certain elements or certain stuffs in our body that will makes us that will make the organs in our body work perfectly. Okay, so as what Thanos said, again, perfectly balanced as all things should be. Okay, it must be balanced. That is what homeostasis is all about. All right, so that is the hormonal system of the body. Alright, that ends up our video lesson for this session that we have today. And if you did get some value from it, just hit the like button down this video. Alright, and if you have some questions and comments and suggestion, just write it down in the comment section below this video. So don't hesitate to do that, and it will help me a lot in the algorithm to my YouTube channel. And if you want to be updated with more science video lesson in the future, just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell beside it. So that's it, everyone. Let's see each other to the next video lesson. Stay safe and peace out. Peace out.